Biggest lesson that I have learned so far in 2024 is that if you burn the boats, or as it was in my situation, if the boats are burnt for you, you will be absolutely amazed what you are actually capable of when choice is removed from the equation. When you have no choice but to perform, but to turn up, and but to get whatever you need to get to survive, to do the thing, whatever it might be, you will be quite literally flabbergasted and shocked at what you are actually able to do and to achieve. And that's what I want to talk you through in this video. So without going into too much detail, because being completely honest, I'm just not fully ready to open up about it yet. About 6 months ago, I was thrown into a pretty precarious situation, and I had some pretty big choices to make that would probably alter and I suppose dictate the sort of trajectory and course of the rest of my life potentially. And if I fast forward to where I am six months later, and I look back on that, which is kind of what we're going to do on this video, as I say, it's absolutely insane to think what I've been able to do in that time. And I think it goes back to a point I've made in another video, that it's not 80% mindset, it's not 90% mindset, it is 100% mindset, guys. But the real reason I'm doing this video is not to kind of, like I say, I don't really want to go into detail about my circumstances and my situation because it's not really that relevant. The reason I'm doing this video is because I think there's a lot of guys, a lot of men in this world who are stuck in a little bit of a comfort cage, for lack of a better word. They don't necessarily like parts of their life, but they don't hate them enough to do anything about it. You think of the big three: their career, their relationship, and their health. Maybe it's one of them, maybe it's two, maybe it's all three. They're in this comfortable place where they're with someone who's okay, but they're not like madly in love with them like they were when they first met them. They're in a career that's okay and it pays the bills, but they don't really like the job and they can't really see the progression, or even if they were to progress in 30 years' time, they'd still be in the same position kind of thing. And health-wise, you know, they could lose a few pounds, but it feels like the payback wouldn't be big enough, wouldn't be worth it to kind of do the work. And the fact of the matter is I think this is probably one of the driving reasons that we're kind of slowly but surely heading off a bit of a cliff as a society. In the last 30 years, let's say, life has gotten pretty damn comfortable for all of us, for myself included. Even in the darkest days where I felt like the whole world was imploding around me, the reality is I've got a roof over my head, I'm recording content on an iPhone to put on the internet, and I've got a bed to sleep in, and I've got food in the fridge. Our ancestors would look at us and quite literally laugh at what we think is hard, what we think is tough these days. And as a result of that, comfort becomes this silent killer, I guess. But like I said right at the beginning, whether you're put in a position where you burn the boats, or whether the boats are burnt for you as they were in my situation, when you're in that position where you have removed choice from your equation, you will be honestly amazed at what you will do and what you are able to do. Because I think when you're comfortable, you're able to do it. You could still go and do the thing, but it's easier to sit in that comfort zone. And I've been there and I get it. And it's funny actually, there's a woman called Molly Bloom, who you might have heard of. They made a movie about her. It's called Molly's Game. And I listened to a podcast where she was being interviewed, and she was saying that after she'd been indicted, and I might butcher the story, so apologies if I do, but she'd been indicted and they'd taken all of her money. They'd threatened her with some like crazy prison sentence. She couldn't even open a bank account, couldn't have a phone number, like literally nothing. Had been like cut off from society, like extradited from society basically. But she said that the mentality she had in that time period where she had no choice but to perform, was insane. And she actually says that now, where she has now built back her wealth and reputation and career and has become like this very established authority in like that sort of world, the personal development world and stuff like that, she actually now meditates daily to put her mindset back in the position where she didn't have that choice, because she knows she's able to turn up and achieve amazing things. So it's quite interesting that we're all thinking like we want to be more comfortable, but comfort creates laziness and laziness creates unhealthiness. And that could be unhealthiness physically, it could be in relationships, it could be in careers, it could be mentally. And they're all very closely interlinked, a little bit like a jigsaw puzzle. And the chances are, if you're comfortable in one area of your life, it will seep into the other areas. And it means that you just don't care enough about the things that you dislike, because why would you? So you end up becoming stuck, well, in a perpetual state of kind of stuckness, for lack of a better word. And I think sometimes it's actually better to have the boats burnt for you, because people talk a lot about, yeah, I burnt the boats, bro. But a lot of the time when people burn the boats, they leave a little life raft in a cave around the corner. They kind of have that sort of ejector seat button they can press. They've got the parachute on their back. And I think when you're in that position, when you're not all in, when you do have a choice, even if it's a choice you don't necessarily want to take, you've got that emergency exit button which you can press if you need to. You won't go into it necessarily with the right mindset. So I know this sounds a little bit insane, but one of the biggest things I would actually, and I'm pausing because I'm thinking about how I phrase it. One of the biggest things I would actually encourage people to do is to remove as much choice from their life as they can, if they feel like this relates to them. Obviously, if you don't feel like this relates to you, then that's absolutely fine. Maybe you're interested in the concepts and stuff. But if you find that you feel like you're a little bit stuck, that you're comfortable, but you're not content. You're getting by, but you're not thriving. You're alive, but you're not happy. My advice to you would be to remove the choice. And I'll give you an example of how you do that. Most people have some kind of notice period in their job. I imagine I don't know the sort of employment market in America that well, but I'd imagine it's 14 days, maybe 28 days. Apologies if I'm wrong, like I say, I've never worked in America. But in the UK, it tends to be at least a week. Some people have like 3 months, 6 months, even a year's notice period, right? Where you've given your notice and you're still turning up, you're still doing that job, but equally important, they're still paying you. But if you're not happy in your job and you walked into your office tomorrow and said to your boss, hey, I've given this a lot of thought. I mean, you haven't, because you've watched a YouTube video and you've walked into the office the next day. I've given this a lot of thought and I've decided I'm going to quit. You don't have to justify it to them. You can if you want. Be very professional about it and just say, I'll be working my notice period. And then they'll probably be like a bit of a barrage of questions. Well, where are you going? What are you doing? Maybe they'll counter, maybe they'll offer you more money. But you'll find your true worth when you put other people in a position of weakness. When you remove the power from them and you suddenly have the power, that's where you'll find your true worth. Now, don't take the pay rise, the $3,000 or whatever it is, to then work twice as hard because you've been paid more. Still quit. But in that notice period, you have now burnt the boats. You now have a limited amount of time to find something better. And when I say better, I don't mean better in the sense that it's going to pay you more, because more money, more problems. It's not necessarily going to fulfill you more. What you're looking for is something that's actually going to fulfill you and make you happy. Now, obviously, I'm just giving you one example here in terms of career. I'm not a careers guidance counselor. I'm an online personal trainer and nutritionist. So you might be a bit surprised as to why I'm doing this video. But even from a fitness point of view, the same position applies. But I think with the fitness side, you have to think ahead. Because a lot of people will be sitting there watching this and they know deep down, I don't need to say it, they know deep down their health isn't where it could be. Maybe they've got some heart disease issues that run in their family, or some dementia that runs in their family, or some cancer that runs in their family. But they know deep down, if they were to get in the gym, if they were to look after their diet a little bit better, if they were to focus on their sleep, get outside, get more sunlight, steps, all of this sort of stuff, all the basic stuff, they'd know that, yeah, okay, maybe the worst will still happen. But they also know that they're going to massively reduce the probability of that worst case scenario happening. So why don't they do it? Because they're in that comfortable situation, because they're focusing on the here and now, because it's comfortable on the sofa watching Netflix, eating ice cream. I get it. I'd love to do that every single day. But if you're in that position, health-wise, imagine yourself in 10 years from now on the same trajectory, where you get home from work and you're tired because you have a busy job, and I get that, but you still sit on the sofa, you still watch the Netflix, you still eat the ice cream, you still have that extra glass of wine or that bottle of beer, you stay up later than you should be, you party too hard on the weekends. Imagine where your life is going to be in 10 years. Because we're all on a trajectory. A lot of people focus on their position. Well, I'm doing well right now, and I'm happy right now, and I'm healthy right now. But what's your trajectory? I'm far more interested in people's trajectory. What are your daily habits, your actions, your behaviors, your values? Because that ultimately is going to dictate your position in 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years time, depending on how old you are. So if you feel like you're not on the right trajectory, well, the best way to figure out if you're on the right trajectory or not is to do this task. Is to look 5, 10 years into the future and think to yourself, would I want to be that person? And we can all imagine this. We're not stupid. And if you don't like what you see in your head, then you know you're on the wrong trajectory. And you have, symbolically, in your brain right there, burnt the boats. So, I suppose the lesson here is, well, is what I've learned anyway, is that if choice is removed from the equation, you really step up. You achieve far more than you are right now, but most importantly, far more than you thought you were ever capable of achieving. And the reason that's very powerful is because once you achieve more than you thought you were ever capable of achieving, you then start to think, well, what else can I do? And when you start to think like that, that's when the world looks pretty damn exciting, because you realize the possibilities are quite literally limitless. So, I'll leave this video here. A little bit of a different one today, but I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment, let me know what you thought. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree, if you think I've missed the boat, one of the boats we didn't burn. Let me know if you think I've missed the boat. I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.